Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Lara Sturm.
All right, so welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Lara Sturm.
And I'm Josh Rohr. This is episode 27.
Yahoo!
So, couple things. Today's format's going to be missing a few things because somebody, me, forgot to see who our new Instagram followers were for this week, and I forgot to post a powerlifting situation to the Team Roar Instagram this week. So we're going to fly by the seat of our pants like we've never done that before.
Never done that.
Gotcha.
All right, so shout out to our new Instagram followers, whoever you are.
We'll
mention you next week.
I do have to say something though, unrelated to anything. So the Cleveland Browns won their playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. I'm sure you don't care.
I care. I just didn't know.
This is a very big deal to me because for two reasons. One, they haven't been in the playoffs since 2002. Two, they haven't won a playoff game since 1994.
Ooh, wow.
And three, well, I said two things. And third, they've never beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, and they did all three of those on Sunday. So I'm super pumped about it. I was up watching the game, like jumping around like crazy. Hope kept trying to go to sleep, and she kept getting mad because I was making too much noise. She's a Browns fan too, but she was tired. But I know we're going to talk about this forever if I don't stop. So I was very happy. And I'm still very pumped that the Browns are in the playoff. Although I'm also an Ohio State fan, and they lost Monday night in the national championship game. Not to downplay my disappointment there, but like I'm so pumped about winning a playoff game with the Browns that I'm just like, it's almost like I don't want to say I don't care because I do, but I'm just like so pumped about that. So like I know most people are like, well, if you don't win the Super Bowl, like you weren't the best, like. And I'm not trying to jinx anything, but like a playoff win was like, that's like everything to me. All right, I'll move on because you're giving me that look like, shut the hell up.
My eyes were glazing over.
Yeah, they totally were.
Sorry.
I'm like a little kid in a candy store, like, oh man, it was so fun.
I'm just one of those people that I just don't really care about sports whatsoever. I'm glad you're excited, Josh. I know it was a big thing for you. So.
It really warmed my heart. It warmed my cold, dead heart.
Cold dead heart. All right, well, there you go. Have any other fuck ups from last week that we have to correct, because that's seems to be a format that we review things that we fucked up last week?
So I haven't even taken enough time to go back and review what we said, so there's probably
so we
something.
Did great.
We did great, but I do have a new lifter tip that I'll read.
Awesome.
And I'll get your input on it. So this was posted this past Saturday. So the new lifter tip: there are often valid arguments for and against any given training method. It's okay to blindly follow your coach, and it's okay to ask why. When asked, a good coach can explain the whys of the methods being used. Whether you follow blindly or whether you need to know the reasons, you must buy in to what you're doing in order to get the most out of it. Agree or disagree?
Totally agree. You have to do the program to get the full benefit of the program.
And
there better be a reason behind it.
Yeah, based on some of the comments, I think there's a little misunderstanding of what I meant by that. The main meaning behind that is buy-in, because I always tell people that I can. Let's assume I can write you the most scientifically based, perfect program in the world. But if you think it's trash, you're not gonna treat it like with the significance that it should have. So you're not going to apply the same effort. You're not going to, you just all of those things aren't going to add up to the most success you could have. So in theory, that perfect program isn't the perfect program for you if you don't buy into it. So that's kind of where I was leading people to go with that, but I guess I wasn't very clear. So that's the thing. Like if you don't believe that it's the right thing, or you don't think that it's written properly, or you don't think those movements that you're prescribed are helping, then have those conversations with your coach so that you can get a better understanding of why they're there. And if you still don't think they're right, then maybe you need to have a conversation about changing directions on how the program's written. Just a thought.
Absolutely. Well, and one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone is following a program, but then they go off in left field and do whatever they want. And if it's a once in a while thing, like we all sometimes want to do a little something. If it's a once in a while thing, I get it. But it's that person that keeps doing it when you see it over and over on Facebook, that they're maxing out. I knew I wasn't supposed to do this today, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
It just bothers me so much.
Well, and I'm not defending that, but I understand, like as a lifter, I understand the desire to, but also as the lifter, the part I don't understand then is how that long-term planning is affected by those deviations and going off the rails. So I think that's, part of having that conversation. And, that's something that I, as a coach, need to do better is having those conversations, because, we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. Like we have had a few people go off the rails on their programming and do it over and over. And, in hindsight, that's probably on me for not explaining why we're not maxing out every day, why we're not, doing this, doing that. So.
Well, I like it that you're taking responsibility for it. I don't know that the responsibility is all yours to be had, but I do think there is that communication piece that needs to be followed through on.
Yeah. Well, sometimes if it's happening over and over, I guess somebody's got to point out the obvious, and I guess that somebody maybe has to be me.
Yeah. Well, you're the coach, so there you go.
There you go.
All right. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about an awesome seminar I went to this weekend. So Josh, have you ever heard of the Wim Hof Method?
The what?
That's the Wim Hof Method.
I have not. That's not what I thought you said at first.
I'm not sure what you thought I said, but
doesn't matter.
Like it was,
doesn't matter.
Something you don't want to repeat. So Wim Hof is a guy, I believe he's Dutch, who has come up with this method over, I don't know, the last 20, 25 years that has enabled him to put his body through some incredible stressors and do just fine through them. Things like he holds like so many records, like Guinness Book of World Records in strange and quirky things. He has summited Kilimanjaro in shorts. He has made it up to 24,000 feet on Everest in shorts without oxygen. He has swum underwater for, I think, 100 meters under ice water. He stayed in a cubicle full of ice for an hour and 53 minutes. He's been injected with E. coli and got a headache. So the whole seminar is kind of about like, all right, everybody could think that Wim Hof is like this Superman. They call him the Iceman. But his whole thing is that he can teach the method to also make you be able to overcome stressors. So it's a three-pronged approach, be it there's a breathing protocol, and there's a cold exposure that should be daily. That's a gradual cold exposure, not trying to swim underwater, under ice for, any amount of time. And then there's a mindset type of area to the whole thing. We got into the breathing protocol, and I had been practicing the breathing protocol on my own for the last month or so. And I have been doing cold showers, like gradually, like starting with 5 seconds, next day 10 seconds, the next day 15 seconds, and things that you think were just, well, the first 3 days or so, the cold showers were real, because I don't like cold water. I don't like cold weather. I don't like anything cold. And I have like the syndrome that makes my hands, I like lose the fingertips. My hands go numb, my feet go numb. And Dan always is saying to me, how are your hands actually that cold, are you actually dead? Because my hands would be colder than the room sometimes, like
I'm the same way,
cold.
actually.
Yeah. So I started doing this because I'd heard about it a long time ago, but somebody at my workplace had told me about it again, and it just kept coming up in discussion. So I was like, I need to sign up to do this course. And I had signed up to do it back in, I think, March. And then the pandemic happened and shut everything down, and group classes becoming a bad idea. And since then it started back up, but it had been rescheduled. And then, I thought I had COVID. He did get COVID, the instructor. So it'd been rescheduled a few times. We finally went, and, Dan went with me, and he was like, I love you when I'm going in the middle of January to a class in a salt cave. It was in a salt cave, a room that was had salt everywhere, to do breathing and get in an ice bath. Because it was an ice bath, a 2-minute ice bath that we did at the end of it.
Define love. That's it.
Yes, that was the definition of love. And he was not really looking forward to the whole class. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And I told him that, I thought this would be a good thing to do. I'd been practicing. We'd held off. And we both got a lot out of the class. We both, during the breathing protocol, which was a little bit different than what I had done on my own. There's a free app, by the way, if you're interested in doing it. You can look up Wim Hof and the Wim Hof Method, and there's a free app you can follow for, I believe, I think it's actually free. There's parts of it that are locked that you need to have a membership to, but for the most part, you can do the breathing protocols and some of the exposures and some of his talks for free. I'd been following along on my own, but we went and did the class, and it was pretty amazing. Like during the breathing protocol, like my hands started tingling. I kind of forgot who I was and what my name was, and like time stopped. And then kind of came back and was like, wow, that was actually really cool. Like it feels really good. And I'd been doing the protocol on my own. It got up to a couple times where I'd been able to hold my breath for 2 minutes. And during the class, I think I went over 3 minutes. I'm not sure. The last one, he didn't really time. It was just kind of, at a point, I was just like, oh, I think I need to breathe. So it's kind of a focused hyperventilation protocol. And then you hold your breath for as long as you feel like you're comfortable. You never force anything, is something that they stress. You never want to do it in water. You never want to do it driving and all this. This is a safe environment. It was a very small class too. So it was pretty interesting. It felt really good. But there's like physiological changes that happen in your body due to this protocol. So it was pretty interesting. And they say, try it for 30 days, make sure it's something that feels right to you, and, never force it, never force the breath holds, never force the cold exposure. If you're extremely miserable, or you feel like you need to breathe earlier than you thought, or, you want to get out of the water, get out of the water.
So here's my question for you. And this is how my mind thinks about everything. Like, how can that be applied to make you a better powerlifter?
I'm glad you asked, Josh.
I'm sure you are. But so here's my side note on my own side here before you explain your reasoning. So I think a lot of powerlifters look at powerlifting as, strong person, don't need that crap, don't show emotions, don't do anything that has any philosophical bearing at all. And they stay in, one dimension.
Yep.
Then I also know people that are completely on the other side, that they're, a lot of people call them, whatever out there, far-fetched or not far-fetched, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hippies.
And yeah, hippies. Okay. Whatever you want to call them. And I really think that there are applications to both sides. Personally, that's something that's always intrigued me, I guess. So that said, I'm curious what you have to say about it. As a 4-time world champion powerlifter who just went through this, like,
right.
What are your conclusions?
So a couple things. breath control and breath work, I think, is really important for a powerlifter, because I mean, the Valsalva maneuver that we're doing, we're taking that big breath in, pushing on the belt, tightening the core. That is breath work. If you are better able to control your breath, awesome. But the whole protocol is really about recovering from stress, and any sport is putting a stressor on your body, and the better you're able to recover from that, it's going to put you that further ahead. The other aspect of it that I think is really cool is the mindset part, because when you do things that you don't think you can do, or that you feel are hard, or, you know, that's nice, that person could do that, but I can't, and then you do it, it kind of breaks you through a different mindset and gets you to really focus on things that you don't think you could do before, and kind of gets you out of your shell. It breaks you out of that linearness of just being in the same place. And then you start to experiment with other things and looking at other things. It can kind of change your whole viewpoint. So, and it turns out my instructor is actually a neighbor of mine, which was funny because we went all the way down like 45 minutes away to go to this class. And he gets there and we're talking about where we live. And I'm like, oh, that's where I live, you know, down to the street, basically. He lives on the street right there, like half a mile away. And he's agreed to be a guest on our podcast.
Awesome.
So, yeah, kind of cool guy.
Do we have a date for that, or
we don't have a date yet? So I will let you know when we can do that. He's an interesting guy. He's actually he's in his 60s, and he's about to get on the Appalachian Trail and to attempt a through hike. Awesome. So I want to catch him before he hits the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess real quick, if anybody listening has any questions for this individual, shoot us an email at plballadspodcast@gmail.com, and we will make sure to ask him when he's on.
Yeah. And there are more seminars coming up in Georgia. He's one of the only instructors in Georgia. So if you're local to Georgia and you want to do a seminar, make sure to get on to one of the seminars in February, because he's going on the Appalachian Trail for 6 months. So, but it is offered
slightly
worldwide.
Unavailable.
He will be unavailable during those times.
We'll put a link to that in the description of the podcast.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and it's definitely something I've integrated into my routine.
Nice. That's
Cool
awesome
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. That'll be fun to have him on.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, Josh, you should do the seminar.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah.
For real.
It's pretty cool. All right. So there is another seminar, a free 2-hour seminar for powerlifter beginners. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we talked about it last week, actually. I mentioned it.
Always plug yourself. Keep going.
Yeah. I just forgot to change the script. It's not really a script for today. Anyway, neither here nor there. Yeah, so doing a 2-hour seminar on January 26th for anybody interested in powerlifting. If you have no clue what the sport is, but you're intrigued by it, this is for you. So we're not trying to have anybody you're welcome to, I guess, but this isn't for anybody that's competed before. It's not for anybody that really knows about the sport. It's for people that have completely no clue, but want to learn more. So it'll be a pretty low key, casual environment. Well, it's on Zoom, so you can be casual as you want, but really gearing it towards just new people and answering questions. And, you know, no question is a stupid question. Basically any question you think could be the stupidest question around, we want you to ask it, because we're going to answer it.
Is there a link to register?
Yep. If you go to teamroar.com/events, there will be a link to sign up right there.
Awesome. Good stuff. So if somebody has a question, they should email it to you as well?
Yep. They can shoot us an email. We'll keep the same one, plballadspodcast@gmail.com, just to keep it consistent. Shoot us an email there and we can answer it. But yeah, should be a good time.
Good time. Be held by all.
Oh yeah.
All right. So do you want to talk about your meat songs?
We do. We got to end with music.
Got it.
So we are on bench press 2. We talked about my opening bench press songs last week. My bench press 2 song, second attempt, Bob Seger, Like a Rock, and Roxette, She's Got the Look.
Do they have anything to do with bench pressing?
No,
you just like the vibe.
I like the vibe. So So the Bob Seger song almost puts me in tears every time. I don't want to have to sing it, but I will.
No, please.
So basically one of the lines is 20 years now, where they go, 20 years, I don't know. And I don't know why that hits me so hard, but it's like, I sit and I wonder sometimes where they've gone. And I think of that in terms of my own lifting every time. Like, it's hard to believe that I've been doing this for basically, no, actually it's 20 years exactly now.
Wow.
In 2021. So yeah, you sit and you wonder sometimes where they've gone. It's crazy. And then I start thinking, like, you know, I kind of rewrite the lyrics in my head a little bit sometimes just to make it fit my own narrative. So that part that kind of gets me a little bit emotional also, and like a little bit fired up, is kind of like, it's been 20 years. What if it gets taken away? What if I can't do it anymore or whatever? It's always like, not in a like, I'm going to hurt myself or anything like that, but just like appreciate how much you love it, I guess, is kind of what I get out of that. I'm weird. Don't worry. I'm weird.
Well, I know there are two Joshes, for those that don't know, right? There's Josh that you're seeing on the podcast right now with his glasses and drinking water and laughing. And then there's Meter Josh. Meter? I'm sorry. Meat lifter Josh. The meat lifter Josh, it takes off his glasses and he becomes a different person. And you don't really want to talk to him because there's he's in the zone and you don't want to disturb the zone. You kind of just want to let him, you know, do his thing. And as the day goes on, it seems like you get more and more focused, but emotional at the same time.
Yeah, you know, I can't exactly explain what I do, I guess, but yeah, I'm a very emotional lifter. Like, I mean, my third attempts, I'm pretty much crying as I go out to the platform, but it's almost like a angry cry, like almost like I don't know. I can't explain it and I don't want to try to.
I actually understand you though, because that I feel like that's how I am, and I didn't mean to become like you. I wasn't trying to model you, but it just kind of happened.
Yeah, it just kind of happens, and yeah, and I'm probably one of those people that if you see me compete, you're like, wow, I don't ever want to be a power lifter. That is just not cool.
It looks miserable.
Yeah, it looks miserable. That guy's an a-hole. Like, seems like somebody you wouldn't want to meet and talk to. So I guess, I don't know, but that's just me. That
person should meet Coach Josh.
Yeah. It's like multiple personality type person. Yeah.
It is when you take off your glasses to become meat lifter, Josh.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a little scary, but awesome at the same time, because that is the mental focus that you're tapping into to get it done.
Yeah. Flipping the switch.
And that's what we all need to do.
And my other song, She's Got the Look by Roxette, is kind of the opposite effect. It's more of a, I don't know if you call it a hype song, but it's kind of a faster song. It's an 80s song. Do you know that? Do you know it or not?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Well, I was going to sing it in case you didn't, but there'll be a link in the description so you guys can all listen to it and play it and jam out.
Was it in a movie? Was it in Pretty Woman?
Well, I don't know. So the song in Pretty Woman was, "It must have been love, but it's over now," and that's also Roxette, I believe.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
It might be. I'm not sure because I've not seen Pretty Woman in a little while. Great movie though.
Great movie. It's so cliched though. When you watch it again, you're just like, how did that all happen? Yeah. It's a little.
Somebody's kid at some point said they wanted to be a hooker when they grow up because they saw Pretty Woman. I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody I'm pretty sure you know. It was somebody in the powerlifting world, I believe.
Oh, that's
But
so funny.
They wanted to be a hooker because they saw Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman and thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Great movie message.
Yeah.
The world doesn't actually work that way, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
Or maybe it does, and
Maybe it does.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe there's magic somewhere, but kids don't grow up to become a hooker just so you can have a rich man sweep you off your feet, really for no real reason.
Life advice with Lara Sturm.
Yeah, there you go. Be a strong and independent young woman.
Not a hooker.
Yeah, not a hooker, please. All right, with that, we'll end and we'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Stay strong.
Later.
All right. Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.